Hey guys, welcome back to my Crabb fishing. I've just stuck down the river here to chuck some shrimp nets in for the redfin at home, give them a bit of a feed. And while we're here, the boys have got the dog and they're having a swim. And at the moment they're actually trying to drag some massive log down to the river. I don't know what for. I really don't want to know. But you can probably hear them and the dog having a swim in the background. So as long as I can hear that noise, we're all good. Anyway, while I'm down here and I've got this beautiful backdrop and some nice ambient sound, a bit of natural light, I just want to run over why I think you should be using a leader. Now, there's a lot of guys out there that don't use leader, and I know it's only my opinion personally. I'm actually going to put forward some points as to why I think you should. And I know people are like, yeah, but it's each to their own. That's fair enough, and if you watch this and you decide not to use leader, okay, good on you, that's your choice. And I'm not going to hold that against you. As I've said many times before in my videos, there's no wrong way to do fishing. If you're enjoying it, then you're enjoying it. That's what it's about. But there are a few points that I think we also need to consider above and beyond enjoying fishing. And a few of them things are like legal requirements, obviously. It's fun to go and catch cod, but currently we're in the cod close season. It's opening in just 3 days' time. But you can't go and chase cod at the moment just because you enjoy it. So when I say there's no wrong way to enjoy fishing, as long as you're within the guidelines, within certain guidelines, and there are certain things that we should do, even though it's not illegal, there are things that we should follow to help other fish out, you know, like it's not illegal to catch a cod and lay it in the hot gravel to try and take a photo of it. It's not good, you shouldn't do it. And I don't know that there's anyone out there who'd say, no, that's fine. You shouldn't do it. Just because it's not illegal doesn't mean it should be done. Now, I'm not saying that leader is in the same category, but I believe that you should use leader. Right. And Lexi does too, that's what she's saying. And there's a few reasons, and I'm going to go through that now. And if you disagree with me, you disagree with me. There's no need for hate. I'm not hating on people who don't use leader. I'm just saying that I believe you should use leader, and these are my reasons why. Firstly, this is only applicable if you use braid. If you don't use braid, you don't need to use leader. But that being said, I believe you should be using braid. Now, there's a few reasons for that. The main reasons for that are braid has a way stronger inline tensile strength. So what that means is if you put braid in a straight line at the same diameter as mono or fluorocarbon, you pull it tight, the braid is way stronger in a straight line pull for the diameter, for the weight, and therefore for castability. But also, it has very, very little stretch. So what that means is when there's a cod or a fish on the end of your line and it hits your lure, or your lure touches the bottom, that vibration is transmitted all the way back through you. And if you have a good rod and a good reel, that's going to help as well. But you have way more feel when you're fishing. You should be using braid when fishing for those benefits. Especially for cod, the bigger you go, the heavier fish you're fishing for, you want to use braid. But there are downsides to it, and the reason you should use a leader are because of those downsides. And one of them is the positive. So one of the positives is that it has no stretch, but it's also one of the reasons you need a leader. And especially when you're fishing for trout and things, if you're using braid, you need to have a good length. And when I say good length, I mean you want 1 to 2 meters of leader to give you that little bit of stretch that the braid doesn't give. You don't want the stretch along the whole line, but when a fish grabs the lure, you want that stretch. So you've got to have that little bit of leader on the end. Now, personally, I use fluorocarbon, and there's a couple of reasons I choose fluorocarbon over monofilament, but either of those two options really should be on the end of your line. So probably the main reason I think we should use leader if we're fishing with braid is it's our duty to care for the fish. Now, I'm not saying using braid is purposefully not caring for the fish, but using a leader is going to minimize the chance of the fish snapping off with a lure stuck in its mouth. And if a fish snaps off with a lure trapped in its mouth, or it's pinned its mouth shut, it's not going to be able to feed. It's not good for the fish, and there's no denying that. There's no denying that snapping a lure off in a fish's mouth is not good for it. So if using a leader minimizes the chance of that happening, then you should be using it. And that's probably the main reason I reckon you should be using a leader. Because although you might be fishing in an area where there's not all that many big fish, or you might be fishing in an area where you've never had a problem before using straight braid through your lure, that one time that a fish grabs your lure and drags you around a sharp rock or a log and your braid snaps and you let that fish swim off with its mouth pinned shut, it's not good for the fish. Now, I'm not saying having leader will eliminate the chance of you getting snapped off, but it really does minimize it. And the reasons are that fluorocarbon and monofilament are both way more abrasion resistant than braid. So braid's stronger in a straight line, but if you start running around a rock or a log, braid is made of fibers that will fray and snap. Monofilament and fluorocarbon are made of a solid, stretchable line that can have chunks taken out of it and not snap. It does weaken it, obviously, but it's way more abrasion resistant. You can wrap around a stick, you can wrap a fish around a log through some structure and stuff, and you can actually work it back out. Whereas if you had braid on in that situation, 99% of the time you've lost the fish. Also, braid floats, and fluorocarbon sinks at a fast rate. So you're putting that length on the end of your line, offline, that helps pull your lure down. If you're using surface and you've got braid right through a short leader, the line will help keep your lure up. But I think surface lures generally float anyway, so it's not a problem. It really does help to have that little bit of line that sinks with your lure. And fluorocarbon sinks faster than monofilament. Monofilament sinks at, say, a mid-rate, and braid floats. And people don't also know this, but fluorocarbon is 100% waterproof, whereas monofilament isn't. Monofilament actually does absorb some water and hold some water weight. It's not a drastic amount, but it's actually not classified as a waterproof line if you look that up. So there's that as well. So you've got fluorocarbon and mono, both good, but I prefer fluorocarbon. It's 100% waterproof and it sinks at a quicker rate. It does have stretch. It doesn't stretch as much as monofilament, but it does allow you that stretch, and it's super abrasive resistant. It's more abrasive resistant than mono, but I think the difference is probably negligible when it comes to being in practice. Anyway, so I think I've covered everything there, guys. We've got braid because it's better to cast with, it's more accurate, and we feel more through our line. That's why we fish with braid. It's further casting, more accurate casting, less memory, so it doesn't get the loops around and that straight through mono gets. So they're the reasons we choose braid over monofilament. So, but when we do that, the reasons we really should have a leader on are the fact that braid floats, so our fluorocarbon will help sink our lure. It's more abrasion resistance, so it's going to minimize the chance of us snapping off a lure, losing a lure, and more importantly, losing a lure stuck in a fish's mouth. And I think that's the main key I'd like to push. That it's not a guarantee against losing lures, and it's not a guarantee against fish swimming off with lures in their mouth. But it minimizes that risk, and I think it's important as fishermen that we minimize that risk. I'm not saying if you fish braid straight through, you're negligent and you don't care about the fish. That's not what I'm saying. But I think if you think about it, it's really a much better choice to use a leader for those reasons. And if you still decide you don't want to use leader, that's fine. That's up to you, and I'm not going to hold that against anyone. I never will. If you're worried about tying leader and you're not sure how to do it, I actually have a pretty good, I say it's pretty good. It's lengthy and it's shot on terrible angles, but it does describe quite well how to tie the FG knot, and it's a fantastic knot to use. The FG knot's actually the slimmest and strongest braid to leader knot you can tie. It goes through the guides well and there's no issue, and once you know how to tie it, it's quite easy to tie. So I'll link that below or here, whatever. But if you're worried about tying, if you're worried about tying leader, I'm going to link that so you can check that out. And the other reason is it does help absorb head shakes having a leader when you're fishing with braid. So you feel everything through to the leader. You only lose a little bit of sensation through the leader stretch, which is way better than having mono right through. But it also does give you that stretch to allow for head shakes and things like that to help keep the hook in. So that also works with your rod, you know, your rod and your drag and everything else plays into that, but it does give you that bit of benefit. So you've got your sinkability, abrasion resistance, stretchability. I'm liking the abilities. Less of lost fishability. They're the main points, guys. So all those abilities are the reasons that I use leader, and I think you should too. Please don't be offended if you don't use leader and you still choose not to. I'm honestly not having a go at you. These are just how I personally feel. I feel that we should be doing all we can to keep the lures on our line and out of the fish. And you might fish in an area where you say it's never going to happen. That's fine, and that's your call. It really is your call. It's not a legal issue, but personally, that's where I stand on the issue. I really do hope that this video has helped you out, and that you get out and enjoy on. You get out and enjoy on Saturday cod opening. We're going to try and actually fish the river here locally. Hopefully we can get a fish. I really want to get the boys onto a fish each, so that's our plan. Hopefully you get out somewhere, you have a go. If you don't know how to tie a leader and you want to, check out the video below and jump on that. Hopefully you can tie off a good FG knot, tie on a good leader, get out there, chuck some lures, have a crack and get a cod. That's what it's all about. Remember to handle your fish with respect, get them back in the water quickly, and if you are going to eat cod or keep cod, make sure you're within the legal size limits, 55 to 75, and you dispose of the fish quickly. Don't put it through any unnecessary pain, but hopefully guys, you're like us, you love your cod, you want to let them go, make sure you handle them with respect, don't put them on hot surfaces, get them back in the water, swim them forwards only, let them go. You've got your photo, you've got your story, and most importantly, you've got the joy of knowing you caught the fish. So, thanks for watching, guys. Don't forget to hit the sub button, share this, like it, comment below. Let us know if you are going to use leader, if you already do. If this video has helped make up your mind about that, or if you've still decided you don't want to use leader, let us know. We're not going to argue with you. We're not here to argue with you. We're here to encourage people to get out and fish, do their best, catch some fish, and enjoy it with us. So thanks for being with us. We'll catch you in the next video. Cheers, guys.